welcome back. We're at Adobe OFF 2023 in Barcelona. I am Paco Siller. I do a lot of Adobe Live content back in the United States, but I'm here substituting for some hosting, and I'm here with the wonderful Gemma O'Brien.
Greetings.
Greetings. And then we have Sophia on the call. We're going to be doing a live portfolio review of Sophia's work while we look at it and give an open feedback. So as always, feel free to give us a follow on the Adobe Live UK channel. We are live, so I see that there's a chat. If you have any questions, any comments, any concerns while we're live, please feel free to drop them on, because I am looking at the chat. Okay, without further ado, let's bring in Sophia to the call. Sophia, hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, and you?
Good. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Sophia. I am 22 years old. I finished my bachelor in communication design last year. And I was always very interested in branding, and illustration is also a big part of my work. And after university, I focus more on branding. So now I'm a junior brand designer in Berlin. So now I'm living in Berlin. So it's super exciting. And yeah, this is a bit what I do. But I also try to have like personal projects going on, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for letting us know. Joseph, can you increase her audio a little bit? I'm having a little bit of a hard time listening. Thank you. Okay, Sophia, do you want to go ahead and show some of your work, and then we can get into it?
Yeah, sure.
There we go. We can see it now.
So my work is a bit mostly university work. So I think I'm still trying to figure it out. I think I have a style, and I really like illustration, but I'm still trying to figure out what I really like. But during my university, I worked a lot with illustration, editorial, and I can show you this one. This was my first year project, and it's like a magazine where I work a bit with calligraphy and illustration. It's like tips for traveling, and it's the text is not mine, but I did this little guide with 2 flyers about some tips. And yeah, this was very interesting and very nice to do. So it was inside university, so it was a bit more free.
Awesome. What do we think,
I like
Gemma?
this. Can you just scroll back up just to that?
Yeah.
Out of all of them, I'm very drawn to that one. Emilia, I don't know how to...
Go down a little bit, Sophia.
One more?
Yeah, this one
I
right
love
here.
this. I like the way that it's, very hand-drawn, but because it's in the clean layout design, it works. It's very cool. Yeah.
I like it too. Very original. The way it wraps around with the text too. I like it. And I got to shout out the photo. Did you capture this photo, Sophia? It looks like that guy's playing soccer with the sun. It's amazing.
No. The photos, no, it was just the calligraphy and the illustration, and it was drawn by hand, firstly, and then I did it in the iPad, but also trying to stick with this hand-drawn aspect, and I think it worked very good. So it's also for a younger target, so yeah, was the idea, mostly.
Awesome.
Is the with the text and the illustration, did you use you drew that by hand and then scanned it in, or did you draw digitally, or what was your process?
Yeah, first I always try to draw it by hand, so in my sketchbook, and then normally I take a photo or I just digitalize, and then I draw it digitally. So I pass it digitally. Normally in some works that I do, not all, but in specifically this one was like that. Yeah.
Cool. One immediate thing I was thinking with the lettering is, so you basically drew the outlines, or kind of use the lettering approach rather than brushes or calligraphy, right?
Yeah. Because I didn't really use brushes.
Yeah.
It was more like pencil and very. I think if I did it right now, because it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
When I did this, if I did it right now, I would change a lot of things, but still. I look back and I think for a first year student, it was quite nice, and I still like the project, and I feel like it's very personal, and I see myself. It reflects myself. I see myself on this work, so still.
Amazing. That's great. I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Maybe I should show you some other.
Yeah, let's see it.
Yeah, maybe this one is also illustration. So this was more personal. It was while I was in Berlin, so it was just I really felt like illustrating, and I decided to have this labyrinth series. So everything going around the idea of having a labyrinth because a lot of things in my life were changing, and I had a lot of challenges, met new people, and everything was different. So I just decided to do this for illustrations and but these ones actually were made completely digitally, so I didn't draw them by hand. And yeah, it was sort of a personal project, I guess.
I like this a lot. I
Yeah.
really like this a lot.
Thanks. It's more,
Super
I think it's more
original.
a metaphor. I like to work with like not real stuff, but in a metaphorical way, I guess. And it was a bit in that direction that I tried to go.
Is that an oat milk coffee there that you're drinking in
Yeah,
the labyrinth? I'm loving it. So these are all like personal
yeah,
pieces that have
exactly.
come together in a particular moment in time and you've translated that into like a labyrinth. I love it.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
think that's really cool.
Gemma,
yeah. I
question.
really.
Yeah, a
Mhm.
question for Gemma. What are your thoughts on having personal projects on, say, a portfolio? I know we had Marcel yesterday talking about that it's awesome and amazing to have personal projects because if that's the work you want to do, then that's the stuff you want to show. Then you could potentially get noticed for that. So that looks like an amazing personal project that you did, Sophia. So what are your thoughts on like adding personal projects and like passion projects to the portfolio?
I mean, I absolutely think it's a great way. One, because like as you probably know from making this project, when it's personal, like you're invested in
Yeah, 100%.
creating it. Plus, it's almost like you've written your own brief. Like you are the client in a way. Like you're writing your own brief, and there's like no in between. So the connection between the ideas and the visuals is like really tight.
Yeah.
So you can create things that are really cool. I think it's great to include them, and like especially when you're starting out your career, like it's good to be like, this is what I can do, or this is what I want to do. Because often, if your goal is to get client work, people like to see something cool before they know that that thing exists, you know?
100%
And I
agreed.
think my approach with my career was often, it was a constant like deciding what am I going to put out there, which jobs like do I want more of, and you put the stuff out there, other things that you want to do more is
Right.
usually a good approach, I
Yeah,
think. So
awesome.
yeah.
So speaking of that, Sophia, what is it that you want to do in your career? So this was obviously a personal project. So you're
Yeah.
obviously exploring. It might be illustration here. So what was the goal in making this personal project?
So for me, it's like I think like I feel like I still have a bit of my portfolio is also mostly university work, so it's very. I think I already found I like illustration and I like to do illustration mostly, and I really like branding, but still a bit not all over the place. But I have different works, and I would really like to work more in illustration, and that's what really drives me, I guess. So that's why I did this because I was really missing doing this kind of stuff, and yeah, and I would like to know how. I don't know. I feel like I'm still a bit young, and I feel sometimes that I don't know where I want to be. I do know, but sometimes it's like I like to explore so many different things, and I want to keep exploring and being like a multidisciplinary designer, I guess, because I don't know if I could only focus on one thing because I also really like branding and like more corporate design, and sometimes it's a bit hard to just follow like a path, I guess.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Gemma? Like, is it
Ah.
if you're trying to become everything, do you become a master of none, or is it okay to do that? Should we focus on what guidance can we give Sophia?
Okay, well, firstly, when you said, I don't know where I'm going, I think that's a great place to be. When I arrived in Barcelona, I was at the Picasso Museum and I was walking around and I was on the stairs and I said to the guard, I said, where do I go? He said, well, where do you want to go? And I said, I don't know. He goes, well, just enjoy. And so I would say that that is my advice to you in this moment with that openness. Enjoy, experiment. I think it is okay in this time to do lots of things because you work out what you like. You know, a good way to decide is by trying and doing and experimenting. In terms of like master of everything or master of one,
Yeah.
we live in a time where there's so like convenience of everything is right at our fingertips. Ideas, styles, working quickly. You do have to choose. And so I think that it doesn't have to be one thing, but you just narrow it down and like make it match your personality. So like with that project where you were drawn to illustration, great, do more of that. But follow your interests and incorporate them into your work, and then ultimately you'll start to build a practice that's centered around a way of working that like brings you joy and creates good work as well.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, and also like yeah, I feel like I'm in a time where I need to explore a bit. But at some point, I also like I'm working now as a junior designer in the studio, but I feel like I have the need to do personal projects. And for me, it's sometimes a bit difficult to find these projects or these clients and these. I don't know how you did it. Also, because I'm in Berlin, there are a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, it's not my city, so I don't have that kind of network that I have, like for example in Porto, that's where I come from. So, how is your advice on that? How did you
That's a
find-
good question. I think that, well, one, I think it's great that, so you're working in a design studio full time and then you're doing your own personal work on the side, is that right? I think
I try.
yeah, I think, look, one, that is definitely hard. Like having a full-time job takes a lot of energy and creative output. So I think it's good to have that, absorb as much as you can from like existing, these workspaces is great. When you do have these creative projects on the side, go for it. In terms of like finding connections, I do think it's a matter of like finding what works for you. For me, I like to work alone a lot of the time, but then come out and connect with the creative community. And sometimes you can do that online. Sometimes it's like going to creative events in your city or like going to art shows. Again, be driven by your interests. And I think one of the best things is that like you're often in these spaces, there are like-minded people. And like if you're creative, usually it's easy to get along with other creatives.
100%.
So just take it slow, meet who you meet, and I'm sure that things will come together. How long have you been in Berlin?
7 months.
Oh,
so not
see, it's
super
new.
recent.
It's new.
You got plenty of time to find
yeah.
your people in your community.
It's good.
And I do want to touch on, Sophia, you mentioned that you do have a day job while you work on stuff on the side, and I would also say that is a great place to be, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's one
Luxurious.
thing, yeah, it's one thing to try and do your passion, but you got to pay the bills, right? You got to have a roof over your head. So I think that's a great time to explore things that you're super passionate about, because you have a job that is actually taking care of the bills that you need to live. You move to a new city. So it's a wonderful and I think an amazing time to actually start exploring the avenues that you want to do or double down on that, right? I will say this, I feel like you don't really ever, like to me personally, this is me projecting or being anecdotal, but I feel like you never really feel like, oh, it's time for me to go freelance, right? Like there's always a hesitation.
Absolutely.
And you're never going to be 100% ready because it's a gamble. You don't know if it's going to work out. I mean, you're literally leaving a guaranteed paycheck to just go out into the freelance world.
Yeah.
But it is the most rewarding thing in the world when you're able to make that happen and just making that leap, knowing that you at least did it and you at least tried.
Yeah, for me, I think right now it's important also to work in a studio because I feel like I can learn with people that have more experience than me. And
you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and you can tap into the network and everything. So good stuff. All right, a quick time check. We have about a little under 10 minutes, maybe 7 or 6 minutes. Sophia, did you want to show us anything else while we still have you on the call? Some other work that you might want to have us take a look at and get some feedback?
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so was mostly a branding project. So when I was in university, I tried to participate in design competitions that I found, and I always wanted for them to have like a social cause. And this one was like higher education volunteer network in Portugal, and I did this with a colleague, and we designed the logo. And yeah, so it's more corporate, so it's something that I also like. And there is almost no illustration involved, but in the end there is some. I think the logo is quite. The concept was interesting to develop, and and I actually really like this project. We started by, of course, sketching, and we wanted this because here in Portuguese, like network is it in Portuguese, and so we wanted to go to search like how can we develop this art in a visual concept. And yeah, we focus a lot on the concept, and yeah, this was our idea. And yeah, we had like this idea with the circle, so the circle being like a form without edges, and being like a psychical element of exchange, and then the smile that would, of course, the project, the organization, it has this mission, empathic and joyful mission. And then of course the network, so we wanted to connect this logo, and maybe I can show it here. Yeah, and maybe have this idea of people connecting themselves. So a bit of an holistic approach we wanted to have. And yeah, just then we just did this poster that please join the network. And yeah,
All right,
so
Sophia,
it's for young people.
let me
Yeah.
interject here. Gemma, did you have any thoughts on any of this? I don't want to run out of time, so I want to make sure
Yeah.
we are able to get some feedback on this.
Well, I feel
Yeah.
like I think it's a nice transition, like having seen your other work, how it translates into a corporate space. Like it still has that playfulness, but like
Yeah.
more refinement. So I think that's very cool because it shows that your, your underlying design skills and sensibilities translate across different platforms. I also like it that you said it doesn't have illustration, but then you've actually like
Yeah.
used it to make a very graphic pattern. So, that's still
Yeah.
illustration. It's just in a different style, and I think it's really cool. Like I think it straddles that corporate but playfulness like really nicely.
Yeah, I think so. I think like also in my corporate work is a bit try to be a bit playful, and actually this organization was fun to work with because it's for young people, so it was interesting.
And this was a real client. This wasn't a
Yeah.
university project.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, this was in university, but was a competition, so it was
Ah.
a client, but it was not like we didn't have reunions with the client, so it was a competition. We had a briefing and we just did it, and then actually we won, and they are implementing it now. So it was quite nice.
Wow.
You won, so
Did-
you won the competition.
Did you get
They
paid?
No, actually, no. For this one, no. It was like a students' competition.
That
and-
is very lucky for
That is
them.
exciting.
They
Yeah, like
lucked out.
Exploiting amazing work.
very
not
cool.
paying. Yeah, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks.
So we do have about 2 minutes. I do want to end this with a question for you, Sophia. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now or 3 years from now? What is the goal? And wanting to get this feedback, you obviously want to be at a certain point in your career. Where's Sophia going to be in about 3-5 years from now?
3-5 years. Okay, maybe I really wanted to have my own studio, or my own, at least being a freelancer. But also one thing that I really feel is like when I'm working for a studio, it's not me that I'm choosing the client. So there are clients that I don't really agree with their values. So, but I still have to work because I'm an employer. And if I have my own studio, if I'm a freelancer, if I get to a certain point, of course, if I can choose my clients also, I can like find like-minded people that have the same values. And so I really have this social cause like driving me, and
Love it.
It's very important for me.
That's awesome.
Great.
And any motivational words to leave off?
I
Sophia?
think your future is very bright. From the work that I've seen, I feel like you've got like scope and character, and it's very cool. So good luck and congrats.
Yeah, congratulations, Sophia. Thank you for
so
joining
much.
us. For everybody else tuning in, don't go anywhere because we have 2 more sessions before we wrap it up here at Adobe Live 2023 in OFF at Barcelona. So thanks for sticking with us, but don't go anywhere because we have about a 5-minute transition and we'll be back with 2 more sessions. So stick around. Bye, everybody.
Bye.